So there's obviously a lot of definitions that's going to be on here, so you can't have anything from chapter 1. Just got to know those words. The very first formula we really figured out is one that we already knew, but it does introduce the symbols. So what's the difference between these two? They're both the same formula because they're both the same idea, but one of them is for a population and the other one's for a crazy. I like it. Then we've got this bad boy here. Got it. Remember, see how those are the same formula, really, just so you don't have to write both of them if you don't want to, but you can. So this one is for officially for what? What's this? Variance, population variance, population standard deviation. I like it. And then you've got the one for samples. The big difference here is this one's divided by n minus 1. Every room is some assembly required. And then I could write this if I want to, big ass square root. Yeah, there. So the n minus 1 is an adjustment because it's just a poor little sample. Okay. Hopefully these look familiar. Now, the one word I'll let you use, you got to know how to calculate percentiles, which means you have to know how to calculate the median. There's no formula I'm going to let you write down. Let me see what else. So the one I'll let you write down is mid-range. What's the formula for the mid-range? Careful. Yeah, I heard one right and one wrong. High plus low, because I want to take an average. And averaging is adding two things. Right, in this case. You're going to want to double check the formula against what it should be in case you can't read something I've written, which is always a possibility. So if you have anything else on your formula sheet, you can't put at the top formula sheet, don't be a smartass. But if you have anything else on there that's not this, I will take points off. I will take any suggestions. Anybody think I left something out? This is your chance, and you never know. Yes?
So we can just have the formulas, so we can't, like, for example, let's say n represents a population, like to a number set?
Nope.
So just the formula.
I'm so mean. Just the formula. So I don't make you memorize the formulas, I make you recognize them. There's got to be some level that you connect with it. Right? The more notes you put down, the less connected you are to it. And I know some of us are like, I don't want to be connected to this shit. I just want that. That ain't my job. My job is to get you connected to it. So yeah. So. Okay, I like it. Okay. So no. What about class width? What about class width, Jeff? You got to know how to do it. Aha. You can't put that down up here. Right. So class width, you have to know how to calculate that. Range, you got to know how to calculate that, right? Anything else? You guys have suggestions? I have actually taken somebody's suggestion and put it on there, so don't think I'm going to immediately say no, although I most likely would. Okay, all right, that's it. So that's our formula sheet right now. It's going to grow throughout the semester. Oh, here, I'll let you do this. Nobody suggested this, so I'll let you do it. Oh, shit. On the sheet that we didn't quite finish, there is this idea here. How did I put it down there? Yeah, okay. right? There's that formula on the sheet.
This one?
Yes, it's part
Oh yeah, it's right here. I see it.
part C.
Yeah.
So if I want to know how many standard deviations away a data point is from the mean, I figure out how far it is from the mean and divide it by how big a data point is. So for example, this is why I call standard deviation steps. I call it steps. Because if I'm at the mean, and let's say the mean is 10. This is not on the formula sheet. Say the mean is 10. I'm standing on the mean. And I want to get to this point 15. And every step I take is 2.5. How many steps will it take to get there?
2.5.
2 steps. No, come on now. Every step is 2.5 big. How far do I have to go? 5. That is x minus the mean, 15 minus 10. Divided by how big each step is will give you how many steps I've got to take. Does that make physical sense? We actually do this kind of thing. We don't even realize it's math we're doing sometimes. So of course it takes 2 steps. 2 steps would be 5. 1, 2 steps. I'm there, yay. Yes? So this formula tells me the number of standard deviations from the mean to any data point. And we call that a z-score. Right? So a z-score is the number of standard deviations from the mean to a data point. That's what it means. You see how slow I'm talking? Like that's a good note to take. The z-score is the number of standard deviations from the mean to a data point. So if you did the practice test, I actually ask you a couple questions related to that. Oh shit, did I get all that? If anybody's at home watching Price is Right, there you go. Okay. So that is your formula sheet right there. You'll be giving it to me on the day of the test. It's always amazing to me. I think I get roughly about 10% of the students lose points on the formula sheet. So let's see if we can get that down to 0, right? Are you guys all right? Am I? Okay. You guys look so, all right. So today is the day to just get it out. You let me know if something doesn't make sense. We could do an entire example of something if you want to. We could do homework questions. We could do stuff in the practice test. I've got the answer key for the practice test that I will give you. Not quite yet. Haha. Try to trick you into doing what's right. Yes.
Can you do F on the practice test?
Sure. 1F?
Yeah.
Oh, good. All right. Let's do this. I'm glad you asked this because I actually left E and F. 1 E and F, I left it off the key. And I'm going to pretend like I did it on purpose. I did it because I didn't want to do it on another sheet of paper. That's just lazy. So let's do 1 E and F together. Hopefully everybody's got a practice test. I gave my last copy away. So let's see. If you need to borrow a calculator, let's do that right now. Let's try to do this sucker together. Thank you. Yes. Sweet.
The test is on chapter 1 and 2?
1 and 2, that's right.
Just 1 and 2.
1 and 2, that's right. Say again? Oh, I said I gave my last copy out. So if you need a copy, you got to come back to the office with me later. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's do this one. Aw, poor little dude. People. Can't focus on you. All right. Yeah. take a minute. Let's put this data in. Ooh. There we go. So stat edit to get into your lists. I'm going to clear these out. Remember, never hit delete for these guys. You'll wipe them out of existence. Oh, now my battery's getting shit. Get there. All right, sweet. So I give it just a couple more moments. Try to get all that data in there if you want to play along. So I pretty much want to always mimic this. I'm going to have a table. Well, am I? Yes, I will. I'll have a table, but I'm not going to put the tops in there. You know what I mean? You're going to have to know what the columns need to be. So you can either memorize it, or you can see how the formula tells you what they have to be, whichever way. Okay, everybody with me? I'm not going to put these up here. Okay, right. You guys are like, no reactions at all. I love it. Just nothing. So go over here. Oh, first off, let's do this together. How do I sort this? Where do I go to sort this?
Press
Stat?
edit.
No.
Oh, yes. Two.
Sort. And we almost always sort ascending. And then I got to tell it which list. Well, I only got one list, so that's easy. And then again, it's very anticlimactic, I think. So if you go back in, ooh, okay. Look at that calculator doing number stuff. Amazing. Everybody with me? Knowing how to sort's very useful. Helps you make tables real quick and stuff. Yeah. Okay. So L2's got to be x minus the mean. So the first thing I got to calculate really is the mean. Right? So how do I calculate the mean? And by the way, anytime today, please, dear God, if there's something that I'm doing and I kind of like passed you by a little bit, just stop me, right? There's probably 8 other people that I've passed by too. Okay, everybody with me? So how do I find the mean? I've got to do what with those? Add them up. What's the quick way to add them up? Let's get out of our table. Second mode to get out. And where do I go to add up a list?
Second list.
Yeah, second stat to get the list.
Math and then not.
I like it. So everybody's here with me, whoever wants to play along. Then I want to do math to a list. I want to sum up the list. And here's a little trick. Just hit the number 5. You don't have to scroll down to the damn thing. And then I can tell it list 1. Chaboo!
So can you do the one where you get all of the numbers, like it gives you the standard deviation?
I'll do that at the end.
Okay.
We're going to check our work at the end. Yes. So if you're in your list right now, and you haven't done this yet, hit second mode to get out of it. I don't want to put the answer into the list. That would suck. Then I want to go to list, because I want to do something to one of my lists. So hit second stat to go to list. Do you have to do this? No, you can just put each one in the calculator, add them up, divide by the total. You can totally do that. You don't have to do this. This is just quicker. Go to math, and then I want to sum up something in a list. So you hit 5 for sum. And then tell it which list you want to do. How are we doing?
Then can you divide that by
Yeah, divide by how many?
15?
15. Kick ass. All right.
45.
You guys with me? A little bit? Okay. Now on the test, I'll tell you how much to round, if at all, right? So right now, I don't want to round at all. So here's what's going to happen, watch. Go back into your list, right? Let me know the minute I've lost you. Is everybody with me? Yes, what's up? Oh, here? So watch, let me do this one again. So after you sum it up, you got 685 sitting there, right? Just hit the divided key. The calculator assumes you mean divide the last number on the screen. Remember that's what ANS means, the last number on the screen. 15, bam. Well, you know, if you type 685 divided by 15, you get out of there, Jeff. Especially if you type it right. You get the same thing because that's what the calculator did. You guys know? You guys all right? Just divide 685 by 15. So when I go to my list, what do I want list 2 to be? It's got to be this bad boy, right? And the more, see, this is what you guys are not as used to as you really kind of should be maybe, but it's not your fault. The more you understand the idea behind what a formula is doing, the easier it is to remember what to do and the more sense it makes. So what's the whole idea behind standard deviation? How far each data point is from the mean. And then average those, right? So of course I'm going to figure out this. Because that's how far the data point is from the mean. And I'm going to do it for each one. So of course it's going to be part of what I do. And then why do I square it in the next step? Because these, of course, would always add up to be, that's not very useful, right? So we square it so it kills the negatives. So, what do I want this second list to be? Where are my x's? L1. Minus the mean, which is 45.666. Just put 6 in there till you go crazy. Enter. You could also, yes? Yeah. I think that would work in the table. But you could also do this. L1 minus 685 divided by 15. See that? Right? You could also do that. You can get the same stuff, of course. So my point there is, in general, you don't want to round in the middle of a problem because then that throws the answer way off. Is everybody okay? I gave you a few options there. Just don't put 45.6. That sucks bad because not only is it rounded too much, it's rounded incorrectly. 45.7 is better, but it's still rounded too much.
685 minus what?
Divided by, you're doing a mean, right? So it's the sum of the numbers divided by how many there are. And there were 15 data points. So you should get the 45.6. Yes. 45.6 is?
No, he gave me error.
Oh, so hit the, does it say go to?
Go to or quit.
Yeah, you go to.
The range is different.
Oh, you're in the list. Not sure why are you trying to do what's up here? Ah, see, you gotta tell it. You want to do something to L2, right? You want L2 to equal L1 minus 685 divided by 15. That's the mean. Enter. You gotta define
Okay,
the whole
I'll have
list.
to go touch it.
So if you want to define a list, you have to highlight the list. All right, let me stop for a minute. Everybody all right? I know the answer is no, but I'm trying to give you a chance to say something if the answer is no. Poor little dude.
And which problem is this for? F?
Yeah, this is 1E. Yes?
When they ask for mid-range and range, is it the same thing?
No. Range is just... What's range? What's the range? High minus low. It's how far the data ranges. Let that name make sense. What's the range of the data? Well, it's the high minus the low. That's how far it ranges over. The mid-range is the middle of the high and low. So that's why we add the high and low, divide by 2. That's how we figure out the average of two numbers to get the middle. Okay. What do I want L3 to be?
L2 squared.
Yeah, I need to square this guy to kill the negatives because otherwise it's always going to add to be 0. L2 squared. Bam. If you get a type error or something, then you're trying to put an entire list into one spot. You're going to freak the poor little calculator out. So you'll get an error like this. If I try to put L3 divided by 7 there, it's going to go, what the shit? Data type error, because you're trying to put an entire list into one spot. Poor little calculator's like, I'm only worth $100. Maybe if you paid $500, I could do that shit, but I can't. So when you're trying to define what a list is, highlight the list. You've got to control the whole list. Okay, like, is everybody okay? Or approximating okay? Or okay. And then what do I want to do with L3? Because here's the formula, right? I got to figure out what the sum of those are. Remind me, what is L3? L3 is this, right? It's a bunch of these. And what's the formula need me to do? Add up all of these. I can do it now. I made all of these. So I can add them up. So if you have a formula with that big ass E in it, cover that and say, oh, I need a bunch of those. I need a bunch of x minus x bar squares. Because then I can add them up. Because that's what the symbol means, right? That's how I know to make this column eventually. Do you guys see what I'm saying? So it's not so much memorization. It's more like the formula actually tells you what the hell to do. You don't have to memorize this damn thing. Unless you want to. Go ahead. So how do I get the sum that I need? Good. Well, no. Second mode to get out of there. Now watch this. You ready? We know how to do the list and shit. Do you guys see how I already did a sum up here? If I hit second enter a few times, I can just go right back up to where it said sum and replace this with L3. Now if you don't like that, you can just hit second stat to go to list, go to math, hit 5, and then tell it L3. Either way, you'll get there. And if you don't like any of that shit, you can just add up each part of L3 individually on the calculator, right? That'll still work. You just need the sum somehow. All right, so let me see if I can hijack this sheet of paper to do this. Oh, it's way over there, Joe. All right, get out of here. Let's hijack this paper here. So how do I set this formula up? What goes on the top? Yeah, this. What is this? What's it represent? Oh, look at my battery. The sum of the x minus x bar squares, which is exactly what the formula needs on the top, right? So this whole thing is 1029.333, right? Divided by, what's in?
The number of things.
Yep, and there were 15 days. So this would be 14 down here, is that cool?
There's 15 days.
15 days. 15 days, so n minus 1. So in the calculator, I could just do this, divided by 14. So what's that? Variance. Blah, 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 blah.
Where do you typically round to?
Variance, you can round it, I don't care, just write it down, but don't round it at all in the calculator. So what do I mean by that? Because what do I have to do to that to get what's really important? Standard deviation. Square root it. So I'm going to do square root, right? Second square to get square root. Second negative, so I do the square root of the whole damn thing. I don't want to round that at all. Okay. Hopefully everybody who did not do that with me, you're able to do that already. Yes? Oh, all right. I got to come way back up here to start over. So there's where I summed it up. So that's the sum of these stuff, right? Then I hit divided by 14. That's the variance. And then do the square root, right? Square root of second negative, the answer that always holds the last number on the screen. That kicks so much ass. So I don't have to repeat all these stupid decimals. Okay. So that is the what? Like, round it to how many places? At least 3. Kick ass. Okay, maybe. Maybe not. Okay, maybe so. How do I get the calculator to do all of that for me? Where do I go to make the calculator calculate? Somebody was telling me to do that earlier. Not second stat. Just stat. Stat. And I want to calculate something now, right? And which one of those? One var stats. Because how many variables did we put in? This is where people always get it mistaken. There's one variable with 15 values, right? So I'm going to do one variable statistics. All right. So if you hit enter, if you have an older calculator, it just says one var stats. It defaults to list 1. You can just hit enter. I want to make sure I got list 1 in there. And there's all the shit. Notice it gives you S and sigma, right? Right? But we know it's a sample. We're the humans. This is just a dumb piece of plastic. Sure, it's got circuitry and all that kind of nifty shit in there, and maybe some magic too. I don't know. So it's going to give me both because it's stupid. It doesn't know what I put in, but I know it was a sample, so I got to use S. And isn't that exactly what we got? Yeah, so it's a beautiful check of your work. Right? If you just do it in here and write it down on your paper, you're going to lose all the points. I don't want that shit. I want to see the work. Why? Because I'm evil. Oh, plus I want you to learn. It's a combination of those two things. Yes?
How do you know it was a sample?
So do I say it's a population? Did it do all the days air quality? Or did it just do some of them? Ah. So if you can't tell, normally I try to make it really clear, but if you can't tell, you just have to go with it's a sample, because that's almost what it always is. We rarely have a population. So if I had a population as a statistician, I'd be yelling it, I got a population! Because it's amazing. We're like, holy shit, you got a population. We normally just have a sample of some unknown bullshit. We're like, ah, shit, I got to put the plus or minus 4% at the bottom. You guys paying any attention to politics? Are you actively trying not to? I don't blame you too much, but kids, come on now. I said kids. I just totally did. I don't care how you vote, but if you are able to vote, you desperately need to vote, right? Because things happen when people don't vote. Things just happen, and I'm not going to say more than that. So become informed and vote, right? Anyway, okay. Any questions about that? And then part F. So we did part E. Let's do part F. See if I have any paper somewhere. Paper. Get paper. So what we just get? We got X bar was 45.6 forever. We got S was, what was it, Jeff? 8.575, right? So I want to know what percentage of the data points are within one standard deviation of the mean. Well, here's the mean. And what does within one step mean? So if I said, guess my height to within 3 inches. If I'm 5'9", what can you say and still be right if I say within 3 inches?
5'10".
True, but what's the biggest you could go and still be okay? 6 foot. That's 3 inches above 5'9", right? Or 5'6", right? Do you guys see what I'm saying? Now that would be a bad description for the police. How tall was the guy? 5'6" to 6 foot. Okay. But that's what within means. Within means go both ways. So within a step, what's one step down? So subtract 8.575 from this. Go one step down. Where do you end up? If you take that and subtract a step, a standard deviation, where do you end up? 37.085, okay. And if I add a step, $54.23, blah, blah, blah. All right. Now, how many data points does that catch? So I always think about this like a fishing net, even though I hate fish. I like them, they're fine, but I don't like to eat them, right? Not because I'm ethical, I'll eat the hell out of any animals. Fish, though, they taste terrible, so leave them alone. But I like to think of this as a fishing net that I throw out. What data points did I catch? Did I catch 29? Nope. Did I catch 38? Yeah, it's in here. 38's in here. You guys see that? And it's not crazy hard. 38's in here, but 34, for example, is not. What's the last data point that I catch? 50. There's a 53. So I caught everything from 38 to 53. So how many data points is that? I think it's 9. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Wait, 1, 2. You could count, Jeff, can you? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 11. So it's 11.
I got 15.
All right, let me stop. Hold on. I love you guys. There are 15 total data points, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Do we all agree that I did not catch 29? So don't count him. Didn't catch him. Did I catch 34? Nope. Don't count him. And then I caught, these are all the ones I caught. So did I catch 55? Nope, don't count him. Did I catch 63? Nope, don't count him. So 1, 2, 3, 4 I did not catch means that I caught 11. I caught 11 in here, right? There are 11 data points in here out of 15. So what percentage of the data did I catch? Whatever the hell that is. Yes?
Why did the 54 round down to 53?
Say it one more time, sorry.
Why did the 54.23 round down to 53?
It didn't. That is what it is. It is 54.23. It is. So what's in here? 53 is in here, but 55 is not. I like it. So I didn't round that shit at all. I just said what data points are in there. That's it. So they have to be bigger than this and smaller than this. How many do that? 11. 11 divided by 15 is? So who? 7333333. Okay. So 73 and a third percent. Woohoo! So we caught just a little over 73% of the data in there. And if you think about it, kind of makes sense because the standard deviation is how far the data gets away from the mean on average. So if I start taking steps out, I should start catching a lot of data because every step is how far on average the data gets away. Maybe. That's exactly what happens on that handout that I gave out, and I gave out the answer key a minute ago. It's exactly the same thing. Okay. So if you want to, we can do another example like that. We can do a smaller set of data. Yes?
Number 5.
Oh, I have a question.
Okay.
Do we want to just look with the review right now?
Yeah, this is wide open. Whatever the hell you want to talk about.
Number 88.
Yes.